Mauga is back. Yay, I'm so excited to play Mauga, said nobody ever. Hi everybody, my name is Abby. Welcome to the video. There is a massive Mauga problem in Overwatch 2, and if it wasn't enough, if the game wasn't miserable enough with having to deal with the Widowmaker who now has no counters, you now have the tank with next to no counters running down the lobbies. It is incredibly frustrating that we are back in this situation again. So today we're going to be talking about Mauga. How has he come back into the meta? Why is he in the meta? He has taken over the highest levels of play. He was a very strong, very prominent pick in OWCS World Grand Finals. I think that's what the event was called. But my point is, he is now the best tank. He's actually taking over the game again, and we need to discuss how to deal with this little Mauga problem, get him back to where he was before. This is one of those characters that unless they completely change the kit of, this character is unsalvageable. We've been talking about it on this channel with the little micro buffs he's been getting over and over again, that Mauga is gonna come back if we're not careful, the same way Orisa came back. It is a nightmare that we are in a state of the game where the three best tanks are Orisa, Mauga, D.Va. All of these three characters, as gameplay states, the way they play the game is they strip agency from the other player. They make you feel like you cannot do anything about them, and that's where they thrive. This is a very toxic design in character design. I think this isn't what makes Overwatch fun. I think these are the type of characters that we need to keep a little bit on the weaker side in order for the game to be enjoyable, especially the tank role. Now, in today's video, we'll be talking about Mauga and how Mauga got here. So with that being said, here, let me show you some of the changes that Mauga has gone through in the past few months of patch notes and how he's come to where he is now. Now then, let's go through the changes that Mauga has gotten over time. So during March, all the way back then, this is what Mauga was kind of working with. His stomp damage had been increased to 60. His cardiac overdrive was being messed around with seconds wise. They wanted to reduce the duration. They wanted to reduce the cooldown, but now the passive overhealth, it goes up by 100. Then they later changed on the way it worked because it was I think it was way too strong, so the base health got decreased and cardiac overdrive saw that it no longer fills the overhealth on activation. The duration has been increased from 4 to 5. Then cooldown increased was from 10 to 12 seconds. And then over time, what started to happen is going forward, it started to get much worse and worse and worse. First of all, they started over here that knockdown time between two charging abilities collide reduced from 2 to 1.7 seconds. This didn't really matter that much. There's very minor interactions where this was something that has been a buff, but it does happen in some interactions where Mauga is able to get back up faster and do his thing. This is where things got scarier and scarier and scarier, and this was around the time that we entered the Kaiju watch of tanks, and that is where Mauga got like massive breakpoint changes. So Overrun's knockback damage was increased from 25 to 30. Stomp damage has been increased from 60 to 75. Guys, remember, these things do add up over time, and once they get higher and higher and higher, the character begins to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and that's why we end up where we are today with Mauga. The cardiac overdrive ability saw the duration being reduced from 5 to 3 seconds. Lifesteal increased from 60 to 100%, and the damage reduction has been increased from 30 to 40%, and now allies receive only half the lifesteal and half the damage reduction effect value. This is still a very strong ability for your team and still from Mauga. However, at this version of Mauga, I can say that he was much squishier over here because of the way that if the 3 seconds basically went away, the guy basically blew up. I believe at the time as well, armor wasn't as strong where it is now. And then over time, once the armor changes came through, unless I'm misremembering the timeline of things, guys, it's been months and so much happens and then, right? Mauga began to feel stronger and stronger and stronger. So I would say that this is a massive buff. I called this back. People said I was over exaggerating it, but like this is a huge deal. So the incendiary chain gun, so his weapons, the ignite damage over time increased from 3 to 4 seconds, so it stays on targets longer. Now the developers' comments was that it increases the duration of Mauga's burn effect, will help better reward going for the smaller, harder to hit targets. But what they don't understand is now you've allowed Mauga to keep the fire also for longer on an enemy tank, which means that your chance of doing that crit damage to increase your lifesteal and everything with the crit damage has gotten much higher too. So his sustainability in a very, very interesting way got a little bit of a buff. Then what happened is we circle over to the overrun buffs, and their developer comment is Mauga has been underperforming, so we're putting power into his most engaging ability, which is Overrun, and now the cooldown got reduced to 5 seconds. His movement speed has been increased from 15%, so that he's moving much faster. The problem with this buff and the previous buff is now you have created Mauga to be like this pseudo dive brawl tank kind of like hazard, where he can just run in, and just as he's entering the area where he's about to die, you can just escape. Even in the gameplay in the background, man, I was playing such a greedy Mauga playstyle once I've taken over the objective, and I can just like force the game that I want to play. Like, Mauga can feel so aggressive, and if you know what you're doing, you will never die on this character. You can watch my stats throughout these games. I don't even think I die 4 to 5 times. That's how well I was at managing my deaths and managing my positioning. That, my goodness, man, like, this character can duel anything and anyone. Of course, he has some matchups against certain supports or even one tank that can like annoy you. But if you're smart, you know what you're doing, you can completely roll over the lobby. So what do I think has pushed Mauga over the edge? I definitely think the damage to his stomp, first and foremost, is very lethal. You definitely feel it nowadays, where when you stomp on someone, especially if they're a 225 HP character, it just feels like you can almost insta delete them with a melee or a follow-up, like, burn damage. Not to mention the burn damage going up, again, like I said, also means that when you are going for that lifesteal, you are like shooting that person down in front of you who is burning, you're sustaining yourself for much longer. And then the overrun buff just makes it so that he's so much more better at chasing, engaging, taking space, getting away from space, giving up space. Like, the window to punish Mauga has gotten lower and lower and lower. And you're like, Abby, well, surely it can't just be Mauga. There must be some other thing going on. And you are right. In the OWCS, the reason Mauga is seeing so much more playtime, and now he's beginning to see it in quick play and ladder too. I mean, guys, you can see in the footage behind you, the other tanks just start to mirror the Mauga matchup. It's so boring. So the reason Mauga then becomes even stronger is he pairs extremely well with Juno. Once you put up that speed ring and Mauga just runs through it, my goodness, man, the amount of space and pressure that he creates off of that, there's high healing coming in from Juno and high AoE damage as well. Then you can pair that with a Brigitte who does high AoE healing. You can also do like, like obviously in rank, you're not going to be playing Brick Juno because that does require a little bit of execution to get right. However, in your rank games, if you pair together a Baptiste, Ana, 𝐒𝐿𝐼, any of these 3 supports combined with Juno or even a Moira, you're going to get so much value because you're just dumping so much healing into Mauga. Your support also coming online so quickly that just if you play 𝐒𝐿𝐼 or Juno, or even 𝐒𝐿𝐼 and Juno together with a Mauga in rank, like, you can so easily run lobbies over where people just get lost because you're erasing mistakes. You're allowing Mauga's engage to be even stronger. So how do we approach the Mauga situation? Actually, there's an argument to be made that the current meta support line is also enabling Mauga to be a little bit too good, but I definitely think there's room for where we can help Mauga kind of lose power. And I also think the developers have to understand that there are just some characters we can't have be good. Mauga is sadly one of those characters because he just completely strips agency away from anybody that he's fighting, especially the other tank. It's incredibly frustrating because the only way to deal with another Mauga is to just take the mirror matchup, and I don't think that's fun. I don't think anybody has fun being forced to have to swap from one character to another just to deal with the character, and especially if it's a mirror matchup, because then it's boring. Mauga mirror is, I think, the most boring Overwatch gameplay in the history of video gaming. I would even go as far to say. So the number one things that need to be reverted, I'm okay if Mauga wants to keep the cooldown reduction with Overrun, but I think the movement speed needs to go back to normal, and I think the incendiary chain gun needs to go back to 3 seconds. I think this is a good starting point to nerf Mauga down a little bit, and then also address what does keep him in the meta. So Juno is still very powerful. I do have a video coming up for Juno, and it's going to be episode 2 of Right Hero, Wrong Nerf. And Blizzard just completely doesn't understand what's making Juno strong right now. It's so sad to watch them like completely gutter her kit in the areas where it's not strong. They did the same thing with Illari, where they just didn't understand fundamentally where the power is coming from. And the same thing's happening with Juno. So we're going to talk about Juno tomorrow. Okay, but for now, when it comes to Mauga, these are the changes that need to be made in order to help him. Like, seriously, guys, you're watching in the background, in the footage of me just being uncontested monster who cannot be stopped. And of course, like, I'm playing very cleverly, very smart. I'm not trying to take risks and things like that, but that's the winning formula. That's how you get how you are able to maintain a strong presence in the game. So Mauga is able to do that really, really well. The way Overwatch works right now is if you just delete the enemy tank, doesn't matter what tank you're playing beyond that point, that tank then becomes a limited time server admin for that lobby. And Mauga, once he destroys the other tank, there's nothing stopping you from running it down mid, slamming that shift button, and it's just crazy. Don't even get me started on how he benefits so much from the passives, the insane passive, the headshot damage reduction, the armor passive that's now like really, really strong. Then like you take less like ult charge off of tanks. It becomes incredibly frustrating, which like there's so many passives that are also helping this guy indirectly that it genuinely feels like it's so hard to deal with Mauga. Another way to nerf Mauga would be to lower the amount of armor he has, because he's a lot more mobile now, he's a lot more lethal now, and his sustainability uptime is much higher. Then it's time to shave off some of that armor. I think maybe him losing 75 armor or even 100 armor would be a big deal, and him losing some power. He would go back to being a glass cannon tank. Right now he is just a cannon. If you understand how to pace and play around your 3-second lifesteal, you can be an unstoppable monster, again, as I show you in the background. And the problem is forget how Mauga is being played at the highest levels of play or even high rank gameplay. At the end of the day, think about the casuals. I'm playing in quick play right now and I'm destroying these casuals and they can do nothing about it. How is this fun gameplay? Seriously, Marvel Rivals is around the corner and none of their tanks had a design like this where they wanted to quickly and as quickly as possible strip agency from the people in front of them. And that's kind of the problem with the design philosophy, with what they're doing right now with Mauga, with Orisa. Thankfully, Hazard doesn't fall into this problem, but I don't know, maybe they might do something like this for Hazard if they're not careful. So Mauga and Orisa do need nerfs, and we will also be talking about Orisa, who needs to get nerfed again because she is still strong. It's just Mauga is stronger. Please nerf Mauga, nerf Orisa. That's all I have to say. Okay, everybody, I need a little bit of your time if you don't mind. I have a Marvel Rivals channel that I've been deeply working upon in the background. I'm going to be doing a lot of educational content on that channel. So if you would like to support me further for free, all you have to do is just go check out the Marvel Rivals channel. I have some guides up. I have more content coming over there. Like those videos, subscribe. It helps with the algorithm, helps the channel grow. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.